a great week. Was it wonderful? How was your week?
It's hectic, busy.
Tell me about it.
I feel like you're about to put me on public blast.
No, why would I put it?
I don't know. I feel like there's some undertone to that question.
I guess the wonderfulness of, we wear multiple hats. But it was just a genuine question. It was really genuine. Like, how was your week? Really genuine question.
It's been a good week though. Made some progress on certain projects. Still working on the whole building a legacy, building the business, trying to make certain strides, get skill setting walls.
Sometimes I guess.
Make my family proud, make my wife proud, all those things, just the things we do.
But we need an intro for our session. We're going to come to that later.
Yeah, what should we do? Yeah.
I don't know. We're asking about a song. We're asking our people, like, if you're music savvy, you got a beat, you can sing. Let us know what the intro of our show should be. I'm coming a show. Yeah, it should be.
It should be
what the intro of our show should be. But I'm just hoping that you all had a wonderful, productive week. I think that's important.
Yeah. Let us know how your week went. If you're joining, whether you're watching live or on the replay, let us know how your week went. Let us know what you always ask the girls. What's your favorite part of the day?
So my kids, whenever they come back from whatever, I always ask them, what's your most favorite part of the day? What was the least favorite part of the day? So let us know what your most favorite part. Let's keep it positive. What was your most favorite part of
share with us.
Your week?
Yeah, let us know how it's been. Great things have happened for you this week. Let's share your wins with us. We'd love to be part of that story. And please, if you join, let us know in the chat that you can hear us clearly.
Yes.
We want to make sure that we are communicating. So if you're watching live, let's know. Let's make sure you can hear us. All right, so last week I think we can dive in now.
Absolutely.
We kind of gave you some origin story to an origin of our journey and how we've navigated the paths from immigrants to employed, whether from student or just following your heart to the US and then having to navigate careers, the career field. That's what we kind of shared on how it's led to Nstar Technologies, and so we'll just continue along those lines. Our key objective for this weekly live wanted to serve this community, so it's to add value, bring value based off of our experience and the things we've done, things we've seen, not just from our experiences but from collectively working with so many professionals now in different capacities. So we'll just take on pertinent topics and conversations we feel like will serve you, because we know there's a lot of you in different spaces. But in the end, we have one thing in common, everybody in this group. The group is called 6-Figure Tech Career Secrets. So you are either in a tech career or looking to get into one. That's
absolutely,
and so that's what our conversations will be around. We'll keep having different conversations and bringing different things your way, expert conversations or expert interviews, specific topics, things like that. That's what it's going to be every week. So that's what we're going to do. And if you have any things you really want us to talk about, please share with us, put it in the comments, in the chat, DM us if there's specific questions you have about transitioning into tech or getting started in a tech career.
Yep. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, that's what we want to do with this forum. We want to make sure we're serving you guys. It's really for all of you who are part of this community.
Absolutely.
So let's get in the tech career conversation. So baby, what we're talking about today?
What are we talking about? I feel like we should go on Instagram as well. What do you think?
All right, that's nice. So that's what we say hi to the Instagram people. All right, so now we're going to be looking up and down. And up and down.
Yes,
so
up
like,
and down, up and down.
Who's that influencer? Hello, Instagram. So if we put on Facebook, like, please bear with us. This is a spontaneous moment.
Very spontaneous. But this is how I do my thing sometimes.
And then I have to come up with, like, whenever I come with spontaneous moments, I have to now align. I have a plan or have, this is how the ministry works in this.
Yes, hopefully nobody calls me. Well, hi everyone. So we're multitasking.
Hello, Instagram.
Bringing a bit of our tech chat from our Facebook group straight up into Instagram so that we can show our Instagram community a little bit of what happens in our Facebook group. So if you're not part of our Facebook group, I don't know what you're waiting for because the link is in my bio. So feel free to join the link in my bio.
So you know your Instagram community, Instagram community.
This is so
you're growing your fans. And what about my own fans that need to be
well, that means actually, I don't know how we're going to do this. Wait, let's talk.
Okay.
So yeah, our Instagram community, maybe I should have gone live on Nstar. But anyway, the main point of this is I wanted to show our Instagram community behind the scene of our tech chat that we started last week. Friday.
Yeah, last week Friday.
So you can continue.
All right, so I was asking you, what are we talking about today?
So we're still on the conversation. So last week, for those who were not aware, last week on Instagram, we talked about, like you said, our origin story and all of that stuff. But this week, we're talking more about wanting to get into tech. What are the things that you have to consider when you're getting to tech? Everybody wants to get into tech now. Yeah. Because tech is almost like the oil, the new oil. Yeah, tech is the new oil. Tech is the new oil. Yeah. Tech is the new oil. Tech is the new thing. So everybody wants tech. Yeah. And just like I was telling you a couple of days ago, someone wanted me to speak about tech, and I said, what part of tech? Because tech is so broad, it's so massive, and I get it. Everybody's passionate about wanting to go into a space that is lucrative. There's in demand. You're a high value professional. So anyway, today's topic is really more about what are the things you have to consider if you're considering going into tech, and why. I'm asking you, for those who are watching on Instagram or watching on Facebook, like, why tech though? Yeah. Like, what made you say tech?
So maybe a question I can start by asking is tech for everybody? Like, so let me rephrase it.
Right.
Can everybody do tech? Let me not say it's tech for everybody. Obviously, I say no, because other people need to do. But can everybody?
But you say when we say can everybody do tech, what are we referring to? I would say can everybody write code, because tech is an industry. So you can be a doctor and work in tech.
Yeah.
You can be and accountant, right? Like you said, and work in tech, right? You can be someone who loves data and work in tech. So tech is just the industry. You can literally bring your skills and work in tech.
Yeah.
So there's been that barrier. People think I have to know how to write JavaScript or Python. I have to know how to code. I have to know how to put hardware together. But tech is just an industry, and a lot of like we said last week, Friday, there are companies that are products are tech, and then there are companies that are powered and enabled by tech. Everybody, even your house is powered by tech, whether you know it or not, right? So tech in itself is an industry.
Can we all be in tech then, or are we already in tech?
I believe in one way, shape, or form.
So we're like tech.
Yeah,
but as a career though.
Yeah, so you can work in a company that is powered by tech, but that doesn't mean you are closer to tech.
Every company is powered by tech.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you're close. That doesn't mean like you work with the technical.
No, you're right now. You're playing semantics, right? So I need us to be, listen. So you're being diplomatic and trying to expand the reach of.
Okay.
This. So where I'm trying to go is this. I know we all are working with tech in some way. Most people, you probably have a computer that you're working with.
Yeah.
So that's tech you're using. There's some tech powered, whether it's swiping badges and getting to this. Tech involved in pretty much everything we do today.
That's
right. But a tech career.
That's the difference.
Right. That's the issue now. Is that something where
everybody
is this something where can everybody be in tech? Or is it for everybody?
Well, not every career is for everybody. I think that's what we're going to cover today. Is what are the things you want to consider? What are the key aspects you want to consider when you're choosing a tech career path?
Yeah.
If you're considering getting into tech, certain things you want to consider, right? We don't want to go in blindly and then realize that this is not for me. I'm not passionate about it, or I could be doing something different. So we're hoping that from today's session, we're really talking more about when choosing a tech career path, what are the important factors, important things that you have to consider?
Yep. So what are things you need to look into before you decide tech is for me, before you say I want to get into tech? A lot of times people just look at one thing, and it's the income, it's the revenue, and that's important. It's part of the things to consider. But there's a lot of other things that go into that we want you to start paying attention to as well. Because in the end, we don't live to work. We work to live, right? You want to be able to afford and have the life or quality of life you desire. Right. It's you don't want your life to be about the work. And so work is just an aspect. And so you need to make sure that it's what you really want to do, especially if you're in this part of the world, where there's options, and there's different things you can do to be successful. So without further ado, let's jump right in. The first thing to consider when trying to get into a tech career is interest and passion, right? Some people are naturally, you see kids who have this natural knack for technology. They enjoy, some adults are like that as well, that they like, anything technology, they want to figure it out. Right. They want to learn more about it. They want to understand how it works. They will do the research. They understand the manufacturers. They are people who they just enjoy tech, right? And they are passionate about it. And there are people that even they are not doing anything tech related. They are working as completely, but they just anytime it's technology, their blood is, I need to figure this out. I need to understand this. I need to, break it down. They're not just looking at the superficial use of that thing. They're excited about, going inside and understanding how it works. Yes. That could be an indicator. If that's you're doing something else, but you really enjoy all things technology. You enjoy opening it up and figuring out how it works. And you get excited at the newest technologies and you know it inside out. You go out of your way to research manufacturing, processing power, capacity, all those things just excite you. That might be an indicator. That's something to consider when choosing to jump into a tech career.
Okay. So for those that just joined, we're talking about what are the things you need to consider when you're choosing a career in tech. So very similar to what we talked about, interest and passion. I think the next thing is really skill sets and your strength, right, as well. So assessing your existing skills and strength, you want to identify the areas where you excel at, right? Yeah. What are the areas that you enjoy working with? Because this will help you figure out, well, either what domain under tech would I excel in or would I be great at? So for someone perhaps who has a medical background and you really love that medical background, you can work in medical tech. That's an example, right? Because there's no point again doing something where maybe you're not, like last week we talked about, being proactive, wanting to work with people, helping teams go through challenges. Like your lane might be being an agile practitioner or being a scrum master, but maybe you're someone who perhaps wants to be by yourself. You want to see how manipulate data. You might be database administrator. So it depends on what your skill sets are, what your strengths are. And this one, literally nobody can do this for you. You literally have to take some time and ask yourself, all right, so what so far from my career journey, what parts or what career have what have I really enjoyed? Or maybe what do I think I can enjoy? Maybe you haven't even worked in that space. But what do I think I want to enjoy? I remember one of our clients reached out to me and she was saying she enjoys her work, but she's bored with it. She always wants to try to do something challenging. She always wants to stretch herself. I'm like, see, when you work as a scrum master, every day there's always going to be something that will definitely stretch you or challenge you. So that's number two, really to think about your skill set, think about your strengths, and then align that perhaps with a career path that would leverage that ability for you effectively. Yeah.
So again, don't discount the things you've done before, right? People want to, I don't like this, but just don't discount the things you've done. You had a post this week, like your skills did not lead to where you immigrated, right? So it's so valid, this, especially for us immigrants in the US and Canada, UK, wherever you are, right? We tend to like, you're starting afresh, and so the things that you've done, it's almost like I need to align and there are transferable skills that you've already acquired over the years that matter. Somebody is really good at Excel, for example. That's a skill that translates directly to whether you're doing data administration, data analysis, reporting analysis, Power BI, like just being able to use Excel. Maybe you knew how to use Access. All of these things are built up on that skill. So don't throw away the things you already know and you've done before. Right.
So for those who don't know the post is referring to, go to my last post on Instagram. I literally talked about how just because you move from one country to another country, or from one continent to another continent, that doesn't discount the skills that you have. Yes, the environment might be different. The technology might be different. The ways of working might be different. But that doesn't mean that the skills you have is irrelevant. It's not. No, don't believe anyone who tells you that you have to start from ground zero. You might start from ground little, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you don't need to start from ground zero, because again, your skills are important regardless of where it is. You just have to figure out, in this new environment, how do I either amplify it, how do I get the right certification or the training, and use that to build on something. Right?
Yep, everything you have is foundational. All right, moving on to the next one, and this is one most people start at.
Yes, that's true.
The next one is you want to look at the demand, right? The job market demand is, before you choose a career path, is there opportunities in that market, right? And this is, it's really important. People always ask, okay, should I do this? Should I do that? And I always tell them, look up that job title in your area, because it might be booming in Atlanta. What about in Chicago, right? It might not be a big market, but there are certain things that are a big deal here in the US, but in UK, they don't pay as much because it's not, that skill is not as valued. So the marketplace is also a determining factor for what skills or what career path you choose. So taking time to do some research, look at the current demand for the technology, future demand for specific roles, right? It's so important. I'll give an example for Epic, right? Epic one time was a booming market because it was the advent of electronic medical records. Most hospitals needed to transition, and so it created a whole abundant market where people would just go learn, and then they will go train medical professionals on how to use Epic. But what happened was, in a short period of time, every nurse, everybody knows Epic, and so now there was no need for those trainers. So only the people who were working for Epic directly or got certified had opportunities, but a lot of people are now like on the bench waiting several months between between contracts. So looking into like future demand, is this a career path or is this a tool? Right, those are two different things. I think you learn a tool and you're able to use that tool to help you for a season. But if it's a career path, it's different, because that's the technology might change around the career path, but the demand for that skill set or that career will always be there. It's like managing data. The tools will always change and evolve, but data is at the core of every business, and so it's not. There will never come a day, I don't care how AI evolves, where they will need somebody behind the scene manipulating and managing data, right? Project management, Scrum Masters. There will always be a need for somebody to be in front, leading tech people, navigating egos.
Robots.
Somebody still have to type the code to send instructions, right? So but you see where we're going with that, right? It's look at current demand, future demand. Is there a long? If your goal is just want to get in, make some money, move on to something else, then you can go for a solid skill that will go make you money now.
Right.
But if it's I want a longer career, then your approach, what you're looking for, will be different or should be different.
I mean, the first thing you want to do, like you said, people should always start from the end. So they're just generous. We're talking about things you have to consider when choosing a tech career. That job market demand is important, because even if you see that there's a huge supply, because right now there's a huge supply, like let's be honest, there's a huge supply of multiple roles out there right now. If you're so certain that this space is where my interest lies, I have the skills and I have the strength for it, regardless of how much everybody wants to get into a role, you will still be consistent, you will still refine your skills, you will still figure out how do I add value to myself so that I'm the top of the park. So again, if you're not sure, do a search around you. But again, with the whole remote working now, you can search for a job, and even if there's no demand where you're at, there might be a demand somewhere else, but it's remote. So you now have that flexibility, and that's one of the advantages, of course, of working in a tech environment, is that remote flexibility to be able to work from any part of the world. So
just make sure that you're not don't just move because it's the move. Make sure you know that there's a future in that thing.
Yes,
and if it's a short-term thing, then okay, I just want to get in and make some money, and then that's it. What's the next one?
All right, so let's talk about the next one. When you're choosing a career path in tech, think about industry and domain, right? We talked about how you might have a medical background. Just because you want to go to tech doesn't mean your medical background is zero now. You might have maybe finance background. Doesn't mean your finance background is now zero because you want to work in tech, right? So think about, where have I built so much experience in? Take a moment to reflect back on your career journey so far. Have you worked in banks consistently, or have you worked as a customer service in retail consistently? How can I use that as an asset so that when I'm applying for this job with every other person, I can leverage and lean on that and say, well, I have this background. That means I understand the domain. You're a domain expert. That is so important. So tech careers span various domains, span various industries. Talking about software development, of course, talking about cybersecurity, data science, artificial intelligence, web development, there's retail, there is medical, right? So choose a domain that aligns best with, we talked about having that career roadmap. Like, where do you see yourself? What career path or what domain industry do you see yourself working in, or building that for yourself? So that'll be very important, because most people just search for jobs out there regardless of the domain or industry, and I get it, because everybody wants a job right now. They want that financial stability, they want the money to be coming in, they don't want to feel stranded. And so that might be the first move you make. But down the line, if you really want to build a sustainable career, you want to think about, well, what industry and what domain do I want to anchor in for the long run. So
and it's so, what you said something now that's important, right? Even if you're trying to quickly get in, think about what gives you an advantage. You're still going to be better getting into start from a familiar place, right? There's almost everything tech now. It's ed tech, fintech, med tech, and it's easier for you to learn technology. Let's say you're in the medical space, for example. It's easier to evolve into technology that will serve medical people, because you probably have used an aspect of it. You probably have some understanding. So one of the things we do during interviews, when we train people on how to interview, during our introductory statement, you come and talk about, thanks for having me, blah, blah. Currently, I work with this company, and this is what we do, and these are the technologies we use. It's easier to say that as you're making your transition. If you already have a level of expertise, there's a level of confidence you would have speaking to that industry. If you've been there before, now you're just navigating into the tech aspect of that. So it's so important to, again, start from where your strengths, going back to that strengths, and your expertise, your experience counts in your transition. And that's, so don't discount what you've done. If you've been an educator before, are there opportunities for me to start my transition from here? If you've been in finances and retail before, what technologies serve here, what career paths are available to me here that I can relate to as I'm learning and acquiring the skills and I'm transitioning. Right? It's so important to pay attention to that.
Right. And before we move on to the next point, we're talking about, things to consider when you're trying to choose a career in tech, right? I think where people struggle, even when they're experts in their current space right now, whether they worked in customer service or they're teachers, is they know what they know now, but they don't know how to connect it to the space, the field that they're going to. So you literally need an expert who is in that field to say, oh, you have this, you have that, and help you do that skills mapping. So that's why this is the best time for you to talk about the education and training program. So
education and training is the next thing, right? Things to consider: availability of that education, and you're going into a new career path, a new career space, right? The beautiful thing about 2023 and where the world is except for very niche and specialized, career paths, like if you want to be a pilot, you're going to want to be a surgeon, you want to be everything under that tier, you can learn by yourself, or you can acquire the skill, right? The danger is, the danger in this same era too is there is also a lot of misinformation or incomplete education, right? That's the danger of, having so much information and the ability to learn by yourself. And so understanding, okay, what skills will I need to break into this career path, and how do I acquire those skills end to end, right? It's not just about acquiring a skill, but learning the market, being able to navigate what that requires, right? If you're trying to go be a pilot, then you might have to go back to school. If if you're trying to be an aeronautic engineer or managing tech for planes, that's going to require going back to school. That's that level of tech. But you're trying to work a tech job, tech career at the realm where we're talking about, there's still going to be a level of skill acquisition involved. Absolutely. A level of continuing education and self-training involved. And it's so important to make sure you're leveraging the right, or going about it the right way. one quote I really like from Tony Robbins was, he said, "Success leaves clues." Basically, what you're trying to do has been done before. You just have to pay attention. And I'll tell you now, there's people have online courses for everything, certification courses for everything. But a lot of times those are not as comprehensive. So again, this is not even come and buy our program that we're doing now. You want to make sure that you see the end to end. Does this take me from acquiring the skill to the workplace, to the job, right? That's what you're looking for in your training. In whatever training path you choose, it's, am I able to learn the skills and be able to transfer that to the workplace? That's the most important thing. So you don't just have a skill and don't know how to navigate your way into a job. But I've seen so many people who are skilled and technically savvy and know the technology, but don't understand how the market works. They can't navigate interviews. When they pick up the phone and speak to anybody, that's where their opportunity dies, right? And those are things that are fixable from a comprehensive training, right? So not just technical training, but comprehensive education when it comes to trying to make this transition. So that's something to consider, is, do I have access to quality mentorship and education? Do I have that, and how do I get it?
Yes, absolutely. And like I always say, for our students, is our goal is to make you successful on the job, not just for you to get a job, because people get a job and they lose jobs, but to be successful on the job, for you to be your own thinker, for you to be very proactive and forward thinking. And kudos to our students for also just taking what they've learned and running with it and excelling on their job. So you think about that end-to-end comprehensiveness for sure. Next point I want to talk about is work-life balance. So you're trying to choose a career path in tech. Well, work-life balance, means different things for different people, right? So work-life balance for me might not be the same work-life balance for you, and that's okay, right? But if that's something that's important to you, you want to also use that to consider, well, what career in tech would work for me, right? When it comes to work-life balance. For like example, I remember database administrators, right? You guys are usually on call, right? They're always on, not always, but they're in a rotation.
Don't scare my students.
Not always, but they're on rotation, they're on call, which means you're literally with the phone, just like the same way doctors are on call, right?
Yes.
You're with the phone, and anything is breaking, and data is missing, table is broken, something is, you gotta be there, you gotta navigate and
figure out. I'm so proud of you talk about tables and
yo, I'm married with you for how long? I'm a database administrator by marriage. Back to the point. Anyway, so as a database administrator, you're on call, and so that might not be the same work-life balance that maybe someone else wants, where they don't want to be on call. They want to be done with their 9 to 5 and and be done with it and not think about work at all. So you want to use that as almost like a filtering point for the kind of career you want to choose, in tech. And there are so many of them out there, right? So.
Yep, and again, like you said, work-life balance means different things to different people.
It does.
Every tech career has different set of expectations, demands. For us in data, it depends. There's the role itself, and then there's the business, right? So some businesses run 24/7, and so need to have eyes on them 24/7. That's where the on-call people. So it might affect your choice of career or choice of industry. Right, so you can still be a database administrator, but you're working for a legal firm or real estate media company.
That's a good point,
right? And so those guys stop by 5. There's not, they're not doing high volume transactions. They might be dealing with large volumes of data, but not large volumes of large transaction volumes. And so the expectation there is different from you working in, say, financial sector. You're working at Income, or you're working at NCR or any of those places that are 24/7 processing ATMs. So even though it's the same skill sets, industries are different and the expectations are different. So it's very important rather to pay attention to what am I looking for. What's more important to me? Some people just want to work, right? Some people at the stage of their life where they want to just grind and work. They want to work, take on second jobs, third jobs. That's what's important to them at that time. And so they go for roles and skills that require that. While for some, it's, I just want to be in tech. I want flexibility. I want to work from home. That's what's important to them. Maybe they don't care about the schedule. They just don't want to get in traffic. those are things you need to consider, these things when you're choosing your path.
The same thing about Scrum Masters as well, actually, is, if you're a Scrum Master for a company that deploys to production, like they're always doing releases, you perhaps will be, you'll be working all the time because when they make sure that things are going well, when it deploys production, there's no rollback and all of that good stuff. So, and there's a way where you can know the kind of environment it is during the interview. And these are the things that we cover in our course as well. Is what kind of questions do you ask your interviewer to know the kind of environment? Is it a high pressure environment? Is it a stable one? It gives you an idea of this kind of role that I want to, get into.
It's that's true. Project managers, they always, because they have to be there to speak the English, communicate between the tech people or the technical resources and leadership.
Absolutely.
All right. The next part, again, the other favorite thing people like to look at:
money.
Salary and compensation. Right? It's important to know what earning potential or prospects or your earning ability is. Okay, so there's a range of, depending on where you start and everything, salary ranges for tech roles. Money is not everything, but at least you need to know exactly, when considering a path you're going to choose, right? Especially if you're transitioning from one field to the other. You want to make sure you're not sacrificing. You want to know what the expectations are. So example, we've had students recently that, especially in the last couple of years with the pandemic, who are moving from the medical field to trying to transition into tech, and we've helped a lot of them. And for a lot of them, they were already making six figures, right? So for them, it wasn't so much the money, it was more the work-life balance, the lifestyle. No, they don't want to work all those long hours. But at the same time, you don't want to, if you were making 140K a year, for example, you don't want to come and start making 80. Right? Even if you took a step back, you don't want to go from 60K pay cut.
Right.
So that's why it's important to understand what are my earning potentials. You might not start at the peak, but where can this go? Right? What does it look like if I got my first gig and I did it for a year and I'm able to add a second one? Is that even for some people that you might not make $180,000 from one job, but you can earn that from a second one. But would this career path allow me to? Am I able to do this if I took on this job? So those are things you need to look at compensation and see how the maths works before you say this is what I want to do or this is the career path I want to choose for.
Absolutely. The next part I want to talk about is career progression. So before you choose a path in tech, well, what does my career progression look like? So I know there are multiple kind of people watching this live or replay right now. For some, I just want to earn money to fund my business. That's okay. I just want to get money to pay my bills. That's okay. For some, maybe I want to get into tech for long term, right? So it depends on what your needs are. It goes back to nobody can really answer this question for you. So what does career progression mean to you for someone who's trying to get into tech, right? For most of our students, I always tell them this: literally, your career can change your life. If you follow me on Instagram, I always say you can change your life by way of your career, but you have to be intentional about it. Again, the kind of questions you ask during your interview will give you an idea of the kind of environment it is. Do they, promote career progression? How do they train their employees? Is there room for growth? Is there growth? Are there opportunities for that? So if career progression is important to you, you want to make sure that you're asking the right questions, right, during your interview to know, okay, this is the path that I want to take. I mean, think about it. People say, okay, so from Scrum Master, what's next? Like, what does career progression look for me like in this role, right? So career progression is such an important factor when you're trying to consider what path in tech do I want to go into.
That's incredibly important. And before I even add to that, please, if you have questions, whether on Instagram or on Facebook, please put it in the chats or send us. We want to answer your questions as well. So if there's anything we say that strikes something for you, throw your question in the chat, we'll get to it. And then if there's topics you want us to dive into as well, DM Stella for her Instagram fans or followers. Hit us up on the chat in the Facebook group. If you're on Facebook, follow her on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, join our community and you'll get more.
The link is in my bio.
Get more value. But with career progression, to add to what you said, it will also determine the kind of companies you even talk to. Right? There are certain companies, it's a mom and pop shop or it's a 10. There's
a peak.
You want to accept the CEO decides to sell the company or something. And they merge with another company. That's your only part of. right? So it's knowing where your potential growth opportunities are is important.
Yes.
To the path you choose and the kind of companies you even engage with, the industries that you decide to get involved in. So that's very important.
And even knowing before you get into that company is also very important, because when you get in that company, you're very strategic on how do I position myself. So if you're working right now, I want to think about what's the next role for me. What does up look like for me in my role? And that is my question for everyone.
That's very important. That's very important. What does up look like for me? What is
the next step?
Yeah. So this tech thing that I'm looking for. If I started from here, what's next? Because you won't be in the same spot if not, tech will leave you behind.
Oh
the career will leave you behind.
Let me tell you, this is we're moving away from the conversation now, but absolutely, like you said, tech would leave people behind if you are not learning and asking yourself what is next. And sometimes what is next might not necessarily be another title, another role. It might just be what is next in terms of the technology. Where is it going? How am I staying on top of the technology? Like, there are a lot of companies now that are changing strategies and trying to infuse AI into they've changed everything. The roadmap we had in the beginning of the year is not the roadmap we're having at the middle of the year. So as for you as a professional trying to get into tech, how am I staying on top of the trends, and all of that good stuff? So I think that's just important. All right,
excellent. So next one is company culture. And all of this just means, what kind of company do I want to work for?
Yes.
Right? Because it's the kind of company, that means it will determine the kind of opportunities that are available, and then that means it will direct to what kind of skills do I need to acquire to be in this kind of space, right? Some people like the Silicon Valley culture, open concept, multiple, collaborative type environment. That's where they want to work. Well, what kind of skills are those guys looking for, right? That'll be something to look at. You want to work in the Netflixes and the Googles and those kind of companies that have specific type culture, the Facebooks. There's a particular type of person, particular type of attributes and culture they have. If that's something you desire, then what is Facebook always hiring for? What is Google always hiring for? What skills? Go on their website and see what skills are they always looking for. That might be a way to decide what career path you choose. The company culture, the culture that you want to be part of, in your future career.
Absolutely. The next one I want to talk about is what you're trying to figure out what path in tech should I take. Think about networking opportunities, right? So consider networking opportunities that are available in your desired tech field. So build connections with people. Like I talk about this, literally we have a course, a module in our course about LinkedIn networking, just preparing for interviews, making that connection, like joining our Facebook group, putting the plug in there, reaching out to people, just being a part of like what's it called, like either a co-op or a community of practice, and learning from other people's experiences as well would give you an idea of, I didn't know that this path, this career path was like this, or I didn't know it was like that. Well, I didn't know about that path before. Like I remember I joined a session, right? I was learning more about prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is now like a new road now because of AI, right? And so it's all about that exposure and exposing yourself to what are the other tech roles that are out there, and then everything that we have said so far, using that to filter which one works best for you.
So that's super important. Like especially you can even start looking locally, right? Where's my community? Where's my tribe? Or in terms of like tech career paths, which tech groups exist around me? That might actually be a driving force to choosing a career path. The next point is your personal goals.
Yes.
Right? Reflect on your long-term personal and professional goals. Like, think about it again. Is this a short-term hustle for me to get some money, but what I really want to do is business? And that's okay, especially if you live in the US, if you're in this part of the world is your oyster, basically. You can do what you want. Just have to have goals around it. For some people, they just want to make enough money, do their thing, work for themselves. For some people, it's, I just want work-life balance. So what are your personal goals? Reflect on that, and then identify a career path that has the potential to feed that goal, or that will get you to that destination, right? In the end, again, it's about your work is to help you be fulfilled, right? You have your call, you have your assignment, you have what's your purpose in life. Whatever you do should be serving that purpose, should be building you towards doing what's more important, the most important things, right? You don't want a job that is leading you to make sacrifices that are too much. For me, I said one of my Instagram things, like if you're having to, in paying the price, what that is important. If it's costing you the more essential things, your family time, loved ones, your spirituality, your health, you're paying too much, right? And so it's important when you're making this choice. What are my personal goals? What am I looking for? What am I trying to accomplish? Is this a short-term thing or a long-term thing for me? You have to know what you want. In that way, you're also not swayed by there are people that I speak to and tell them, well, I took a class on or SharePoint, and I learned Salesforce. I already took a class on Scrum before, and now I'm looking to do DBA. I'm like, that's a red flag for me, because it makes me feel like, are you willing to commit to one part, right? Will it be a good student for us? Because it just shows there's a level of unwillingness to stay the course. And what happens is, because there's no clear, this is what I'm trying to get done, and these are my goals, you just move where the wind blows, right? People say, oh, Scrum is paying the most now. You move to Scrum, right? You move to Scrum, and like somebody comes like, oh no, Scrum, there's no more jobs in Scrum. Now it's cybersecurity. Oh, okay. Do you put in cybersecurity now? I want to do it. And so that happens. You can't, like, there's people, and if it's you I'm talking to, then it's you I'm talking about. But I have these conversations all the time when I talk to people who are looking to make this transition into tech. And so take your time and sit down and figure out, what are my goals? What am I trying to accomplish? Which of these parts help me get there, right? Which of these ones help me accomplish this goal?
Right. I mean, we have shared so many points, and I know we're going to get a round up, just like a quick overview of what we've said so far. But, I mean, choosing a tech career path is an important decision, right? And it's a lot of pressure, because people are battling so many things, right? That personal, we always bring that personal touch whenever we teach our students, because we know that the person coming to our class is not just coming to our class. They either have kids, or they have I don't know, demands, or they're going through so many things
going on with them,
right? So we know, it's such an important decision. Sometimes you feel so pressured that you don't make any decision at all. And so typically, like, what I want to encourage anyone right now is be open to, yes, you can explore different options. Because you never know the end from the beginning. You might never know which one works best for you. So if you're someone who perhaps taken so many courses, right? First of all, you have to apply. The problem is that a lot of people are acquiring the knowledge, the information, but not applying it. And then if you don't apply it, how would you know if that is your strength or your weakness, or you don't like it? You just keep acquiring all of this. So you have to ask yourself, how can I apply this, right? So even for Scrum, for example, how do we apply this on our day-to-day? How do we think as an agile practitioner? The same for therapists and administration as well, is how do we apply all of this? And so just take a deep breath in, right? And figure out, okay, all of the points we've talked about so far. So we've talked about, identifying your passions, talked about identifying, your strength, figuring out what your skill sets are, talked about, figuring out what industry, what domain, what experience perhaps do you already have, talked about getting educated, getting trained. See, you cannot short circuit the process. You cannot glue the process. You have to go through someone who gets it and is ready to guide you, who has the blueprint, right? Who understands the pain point, who can ensure that you don't have accident along the way and take it to your destination. But you have to be committed. I always tell my students, I'm as ready as you are. Your success is so important to me, but I need you to be committed as much as I am committed, because I can't be over committed more than you. That's what we tell all of our students. So education is super important. You have to pay the price of education to be able to get the fruits of that price, right? We talked about work-life balance. Right, we don't want people to get burnt out because they're trying to chase something. But again, we know work-life balance varies, and that's okay, right? Think about salary and compensation. You are valuable. Especially if you've gone through education, especially if you've been trained, right? You've invested in yourself to be trained, and you have experience. You are valuable. So how do you negotiate your compensation and your salary to ensure that you are also getting something for the investment you've made in yourself? Think about career progression. What's path in tech has that career progression, and so we give you all a challenge, right? Ask yourself a question around, what does up look like for me? Right? What does up look like for me? It might not be a different title, but it might be more of, what does up look like for me in my role, in this space, in this tech that I know? Where is the trend going to, right? Company culture is super important. What kind of company culture do you want to work in? We've worked in different kinds of company culture. Like sometimes I feel like I still experience PTSD. When I think about some of the companies that I've worked in, and I didn't know any better until I went to a different company. I'm like, oh my goodness, like how did I stay here for so long to experience all of these things, right? So ask yourself, what kind of company do I want to work in? What kind of culture do I want to be a part of, right? And you can know this by the kind of questions you ask during your interview. And my students know this, our students know this, right? Talk about networking opportunities, network with people. What are your personal goals? So we really hope that this has been super helpful for everyone on this call. Let us know in the chat, in the comments, if this has been helpful. Like what, or maybe what stood out to you, and or if this has been helpful.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, let us know your thoughts on this, what value you receive.
And I see some of my amazing students in the chat. Hello, amazing agile practitioners in the chat. I see you. Thanks for joining.
Thanks everyone for joining. In the end, it's so important, when you're one thing that has to be said as we wrap up this conversation for this week is transition, change, this is not, I won't say it's hard, but it is also it's not easy, right? Regardless of any path you choose, it is going to require a level of sacrifice, a level of difficulty, a level of effort. If you've made up your mind that you're about to jump into a whole new space, it's going to cost you something. And I need us to, as you think through all of the points we've raised and all of the steps we've said, things you need to consider, also think of what is this going to cost me in terms of time and resources, and am I willing to invest that, right? Am I really willing to invest that? Your goals are attainable, right? There literally is, most of these career paths, back to where we started from, can everybody be in tech, or is tech for everybody, right? It is for everybody who wants it. And by wanting it, I mean who wants it enough to do what it takes, to be resourceful enough to pay the price, to make it work with your schedule and your kids and your family and ministry, and you still find time to study and practice, right? It's for everybody who's willing to do what it takes to get this transition. We've been blessed to find ourselves where we found ourselves in terms of our careers. We've been blessed to work for companies that, I don't know about you, but I didn't dream of working in certain companies that I've worked for, I've consulted for, I've held titles, and I'm like, that's me. It's strange, right? And so we are speaking from a place of passion, and we want to kick this door open for as many people within our community as possible. Right, that's why we're sharing these things for free. We're giving you all of this, putting you on game, because we want, the cloud is big enough for all of us to fly. We've been blessed, and we want to take as many people with us on this journey. So it's sacrifice, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. I have zero regrets, going down this route, and we hope the same for you. Any final words for?
Well, any final words for the life, of course.
Yeah, for today's life. Yeah, final words for the life. Yeah, spiritual.
You gotta be very specific. Our words carry power. Okay. Any final words for the life? I think for me, you talk about how it's worth it, it's attainable, but it requires a lot of work. Even for me, yes, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, I help professionals get into the Scrum space, Agile space. There's always more to learn.
Yeah.
There's the learning never ends, right? I might be working somewhere now, but I haven't even scratched the surface at all. I don't even think I've even begun at all, right? Because I feel like there's so much more opportunities out there, but it goes back to, am I willing to pay the price? The same for you as well, right? Are you willing to pay the price? And I believe that people are willing to pay the price. There might be obstacles, there might be roadblocks. There are roadblocks, there are mental battles that we have to face and all of that great stuff, right? And so you just have to say, you know what, I might fall down now, but I'll get up again. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to sign up for a course. I'm going to reach out to Stella and Inam and ask them about the course that they're offering, or I'm going to join on these lives and learn from other people. I'm going to join a community, and ask questions, like being a comedian, ask questions, right? Reach out to people, network. Something has to come from you. You have to sow those seeds, So that's just my final word for the life is your goals are attainable. Yes, it's going to require work, but I truly believe that you're absolutely up for that work. You can do that work. So.
All right. Thanks for hanging with us.
Thanks,
we
everyone.
are going to be back again, same time, next Friday. I think we've decided to stay with this 3 p.m. Eastern time. So tell your friends, tell people, join the community. It's so important. Facebook, we are posting valuable content all week long, right? We want to serve the community through that platform. So join in there. Go on Stella's bio and click on the link and join. In that way, if you have questions, it's an easy way to reach us. There's always somebody from either any of two of us or from our team who is monitoring pretty much every question, every conversation. So get in there, tell your friends about what we're trying to do, the movement we're trying to create. And until the same time next week, stay blessed. We love you guys. We'll see you.
Bye.